as a grown man right now, he was saying vision, he was saying purpose, he was saying destiny. What do you want to be when you grow up?
Before the accolades, before you arrive, do you remember being resentful?
I want to kind of push up a little bit to a transition where you have the drive, right? You have a vision. You trying, you doing the work. I did the steps, I had the vision, I had the drive, I had the support, and I got close.
How do you maintain that? How do you continue to push yourself in that way and what we call eat that humble pie, so to speak?
Your foundation is not strong enough, and that's why those 5 pillars are so important in my life. That's what keeps me grounded: faith, family, finance, fitness, and freedom.
Why you have to invest in getting quality mentors in your life.
Your level of exposure will determine your level of success.
But consistency is key. Get the right people in the room, man. So
What's up, family? It's your main man, Coach Crump, with another great episode of the Boy Man King podcast. And I'm with my main man, my co-host, Chizzy. Say what's up to the people, Chizzy.
hey man, what's going on? What's going on, everybody? Happy day to you, man. Looking forward to this great conversation we're about to have today. Let's get it, man. Let's get
Yeah.
it.
Listen, man, you got to give honor what honor is due. This is called the Boy Man King, but we have the big dog king himself, Jamal King,
Yes,
9 to 5
sir.
millionaire, not only a real estate guru, not only a father, not only a husband, not only a speaker, not only an entrepreneur, not only a mentor, but a man after God's own heart. Also, a co-host of the Secret to Success podcast. Man, give it up for the big dog himself, Jamal King, 9 to 5 millionaire. Welcome to the platform, my fam.
Hey man, look,
Welcome.
man, I am excited to be here. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna
Yeah,
record that intro and I'm gonna send it to CJ.
fact.
Come on.
I'm gonna say, see, you're doing it all wrong, bro. This is how I should be getting my intro, bro. That little
Let them
lane,
know. Let
secret to
them know.
success. What's up, Pac? Yo, bro, no.
Nah, man.
Yeah,
But good to see you, bro. Listen, we wanted to get right in, man. We know your story has been told and showed all over social media, man, when it comes to
Yeah,
what you've done in the real estate space, man, and what you've done just, in your own journey. But we wanted to tap into some things as a man, as a king, and we want to go all the way back. And we feel like, we was talking earlier before we started, man, one thing we want to go back is talk about transition. And we know your dad was a huge part of your journey, man. But talk about, when you was a young boy going into your manhood, the influence of your father and has you transition into walking into your manhood. Talk about that, man.
yeah, man. Man. First off, bro, your first question, really touched home because, my dad, he had a stroke 3 years ago,
Mm,
and so, and so now I have found myself stepping in the role of my dad, right, for the
mm,
family. And as my dad, he lost all of his left side of his body, so he can't walk. Certain things he
mm.
can't do anymore. But it's so crazy that man, a real father prepares his children,
Oh, come on.
for life. Without them, and I notice some people, they like to cripple their kids, right? They like to cripple them. They
Mm,
like to make them depend on them.
yeah.
One thing with my dad, bro, I'm telling you, he has prepared me for this day, and it all started when I was young. Let me tell you something. My dad used to always make me speak the things that were not as though they were. My dad
Mm,
will always make me live in the future, and I never understood it, right? He would always ask me and my siblings, what do you want to be when you grow up? I just thought my
mm,
dad was on some, like, yo, when you turn 18, you're gonna need to get a job and get up out the house. Like, what do you like? You need to get a job. What? But no, my dad was making me look beyond my present
mm,
circumstances. Every single day, Crump, he would be like, Jamal, what do you want to be when you grow up? And that's a question I think that's so, because as a kid, I thought he was just saying a job.
mm,
But as a grown man right now, he was saying vision, he was saying purpose, he was saying destiny. What do you want to be when you grow up? In that one little line, that one statement, it had me thinking about how do I want to be as a man? How do I want to be as a husband? How do I want to be as a father? How do I want to be in my body? How do I want to be in my
Mm,
finances? How do I want to be in my, and that's where I got this thing where I talk about the five pillars, right? Faith,
mm,
family, finance, fitness, and freedom. Because as a man, as a father, when he kept asking me, what do I want to be when I grow up? I used to say things like, I want to make it to the NFL. I want to be a millionaire. And he was just saying, how does that look for you?
mm.
Well, most people, you say a job, you're just thinking about a job, money. When he said, how does that look for you? Like, what type of wife will the NFL bring you? What type of car would it bring? It had me just thinking about the overall vision of my life.
Mm.
So, yeah, so my dad early on, man, he had me not only seeing the vision, but he had me speaking the vision. And
Wow.
this is the most important part, he held me accountable to my vision. I couldn't be sitting here when all my friends was sitting out here, just hanging out on the block, on the corner, riding a bicycle. My dad would say, "You said you wanted to make it to the NFL. What are you doing today? What did you do today that's
Come
gonna
on,
bring you
man.
closer to that goal?" So he was giving me actionable steps to match my vision. I couldn't sit up here and eat what everybody else was eating because he said, "You said you wanted to make it to the NFL," and so it was everything that I said, he would hold me accountable to it. And as a man, bro, that is so important. I grew up as a kid being held accountable to what I said I wanted to do.
I think it's interesting. I mean, oftentimes we have conversations in the now, in retrospect of what was, and of course, you've entered into a kingship space now. But I kind of want to keep continuing to push the envelope as it relates to that that boy to man journey, because we can't assume that this wonderful refined man of God that we see in front of us didn't have adversity and challenges. And our audience and the people around us glean off of the experiences that people have, because a lot of them are living in a space now where they haven't even arrived at a space that some of us have arrived in now. So I kind of want to take us even further back a little bit more. And because of, you say your dad was a police officer, my mom also was a police officer. So I remember feeling an expectation of a certain way to just be and function in a particular light. Do you remember having feelings of maybe imposter syndrome, or sometimes where you felt like you wasn't able to achieve those things that your dad set forth in front of you? Because as a kid, yeah, you heard in messages on a regular basis, and as parents, we continuously try to infuse values and positive messages in our kids. But as we know, they don't get it until later on in life, which is where we kind of are now. Do you remember, as a shorty, as a young man growing up, before the accolades, before you arrived, do you remember being resentful or being like, I don't know, you're putting a lot on my plate. There's a greater expectation that I may not be able to live up to. Do you have memories like that growing up as a kid?
What's so crazy, bro? You said your mom. You said your mom's your
My
mom's a
mom.
police officer.
Yeah, my mom's a
Yeah.
police officer.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So my mom and my dad were both police officers. So I
Okay.
kind of
Okay.
I
Okay.
kind of felt
Okay.
I kind of felt you
Okay.
both. And it's
Okay.
crazy. My mother was a prison guard, so she wasn't just a police
Wow.
officer. My dad would lock people up, and my mama would house them in the jail.
Wow.
Um,
Man.
Wow. Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
So, but growing up, and and it's crazy because right now I gotta just take myself always back to the past. Right now, the greatest expectation that I believe that I felt is the one that I had set for myself. My parents never put any kind of, because I could have told my dad I wanted to be a astronaut, and he would have held me accountable to what are you doing in science, or what are you doing that's in alignment with becoming an astronaut. So
Wow.
I think that I put the most pressure on myself,
Mhm.
because my dad showed me that when a man says something,
You gotta live up to it.
his
Yeah.
daily actions should reflect what it is that you said. And if you just look today, there's a lot of people that's saying one thing,
Come
but
on.
their daily actions are not in alignment with what they're saying. And so I learned
Yeah.
at a very young age, and I didn't feel the pressure of it because, see, a lot of people feel the pressure, but when you're going through the process, you know, it's something about the process that eliminates the so-called pressure, because you don't know, right? You don't know. Like now it's kind of different, right? I'm right now. I say it kind of almost like I'm walking on water right now. Right now it's like everything that I'm living in the result of everything that I've done. So in the
Yeah.
beginning, and if somebody is listening, they're a young man, young guy. In the beginning, it does seem hard. It
Yeah.
seems hard because you have no evidence that it's going to work, right?
Mm.
You have no evidence. You say things, I want to do this, I want to get in real estate, I want to be a millionaire, I want to make it to the end, but you have no evidence. Everything is like you're trying to get something, you're trying to achieve something. And
Yeah.
so when you're going through that process, it's not for you to put pressure on yourself. It's up to you to go through the process. It's up to you.
Yeah.
And my dad, what he showed me was that every single day, and my mom too, it's like if you're gonna say that you're gonna do something every day, you need to show not just yourself, but you need to show others that you're serious about it. And the more and more I used to show my parents that I was serious about it, they would go ahead and if I'm saying that I'm gonna make it to the NFL and I'm working out in my basement doing jumping jacks and push-ups, I'm talking about crump. I used to get two crates, two of them big
Come on,
old
two
milk
crates.
crates. Yeah, I would get two crates and I put a piece of plywood on top of the two crates, and then I would get a pole and I would put some weights on the pole and I would have like I had a bench. They saw me doing what it is that I said I wanted to do every single day. So then one day I wake up and it was a brand new real bench down in the
Come on.
basement.
Yeah.
It was one day my dad seen me outside, and I was always my friend down the street. He had a football, and I would always knock on his door so we could play catch. I didn't have a football, but my dad used to always see me go knock on my friend's door to come outside and play catch. So then he saw me moving towards what it is that I said I wanted to do. So then one day I woke up and I had a football in my house. So, and I
Wow.
believe that in life, even as an adult, when you say you're going to do something and other people see you doing what it is that you said you want to do,
Come on.
they start to help out. They start to, and not just other people, but God. When God, when you literally say you're going to do something, God sees that you are doing it, you know, that God now starts putting people in your life. It's like CJ always talk about, how many times have you ever seen a guy on the side of the road and he got his thumb out and he hitchhike? He's trying to hitchhike. How
Yeah.
many cars actually go past him?
A lot.
Hundreds.
99.9% of the people driving right past my man. But
Mhm.
then, have you ever been on a busy street and you seen a car stalled in let's say on the street, and there's a man in there on the driver's side and he got his family in the car and he got the front door open and he's pushing the door while he's holding on to the steering wheel and he's trying to get that car off the street. How many times have you seen people get out their car to help that man
All the time.
all the
All the
time?
Yeah.
And listen, I want to double down on that because I know for me it was similar to having that drive and having that determination and people watching you do that as you go as a young man, particularly when you're a young man doing it. People are inspired to see a young man focus on vision, but I want to kind of push up a little bit to a transition where you have the drive, right? You have a vision. You trying, you're doing the work, right? And people see it or they don't see it, but you get to a certain stance in your life as a man where let's for example you play college ball, right? And you want to make the NFL and you realize that the NFL might not happen, right? Like no matter
Yep.
you did everything for years and you have to come to the grips of everything I've been building up in this vision that I had in my life for all of these years. And now I'm a legal adult, I'm a man. But the thing that I wanted as a man, right? That's what I want to focus on. The thing that I wanted as a man, I'm also have to kind of almost accept that that version of what I saw it to become is
It's
not
not
going to be the way
materialized.
that I get there. How
Yeah.
did you handle that situation of man, I did the steps, I had the vision, I had the drive, I had the support, and I got close, but it's not quite the way that I thought it was going to be, or I didn't quite get there, and now I got to go get a job. I got to go be a police
Recalibrate.
officer. Like talk,
Yeah.
talk talk about that transition that a lot of guys struggle with who have this vision of what they want for themselves, who have this vision of what they want for their family, and they have it what it will look like and the stages they will walk into, and all of a sudden one of them stages is not there and it's not gonna happen, and you don't have to make a pivot. How do you cope? How do you manage? How do you stay focused? How do you stay locked in to make that pivot and to make it come out another way? Talk about that.
Doesn't mean that the destination is not still attainable. Just really
Mm,
think about that. If you driving to, if you saying that you're gonna take a family vacation to the destination is Disney World, and on the way to that trip to Disney World, if your tires blow out, that does
right.
not mean that we're not going to Disney World anymore. It just means, all right, whether we got to maybe unload this car and go get on the bus now, we might need to jump on the train now, or we might need to change the tires. And I think as a man, that's where the maturity came in my life. Where I mean, don't get me wrong, disappointment because I was only looking at it one way. My dad and his goal is so crazy. We talking about this boy, man, King. My dad, at the time I was transitioning to a man when I didn't make it to the NFL, but my dad was on the king level, and literally Mr. King, and he was on the king level, and he had to really let me, because I was hurt, bro. I was hurt. I was disappointed. Like 99% of us that don't make it to the league, you know exactly what I'm talking about, Crump.
Yeah.
And I felt like my life was over with. I'm not even going. I'm not joking. I felt like, and the reason why was because I had so much attached to that making it to
Mm,
the NFL. It
yeah,
wasn't
the
really,
identity.
yeah, it was my identity. It wasn't really. I wanted to wear a Bears jersey. I wanted to. My fingers was broke. I done tore ACL at the time, man. I done got hit in the. It was so many things that I injured
Mm,
myself so many times that it wasn't really about making it to the NFL. My dad had to show me. He was like, "Son, why did you want to make it to the NFL all these years?" It was
Mm.
this was such an important question. Why did you want to make it?
how old were you
And I
during
had to
that
think.
time?
How old was I? This was when I
Yeah.
didn't make it. This is when I was about 19, 20 years, about 20 years old.
Okay.
About
Okay.
20, and he asked me, he said, "Why did you want to make it?" And that's when I
Mm,
had thought about it, bro. I was like, man, I wanted to retire you and mama. I wanted to, give my kids a different life. I wanted to take the family into another direction. I wanted to live in this big house. I wanted to, man, make it where my wife never had to work. I wanted to make it where my kids, go to private school. It was so many things that I wanted for my children and I
mm,
thought in my family that I didn't even have, but I thought that making it to the NFL was going to give them that. And so
mm,
when I didn't make it, I was so depressed. It wasn't about really making it to the NFL. It was about now not being able to provide or come up with the vision
Come
that I
on.
had for my life all of these years. But it was my dad, Mr. King, who was just like, who said you still can't get those things?
Come on,
Who
man. Who
said that
said?
who said that you still can't get them things? You just saw the only way you can get those things was by through the NFL. But there's so many other ways for you to still attain that. The destination is still there for you, son. It's still there. Disney World ain't changed just because your car broke down. I think sometimes we really
yeah.
believe that. If something is happening on a doing a journey to get to your destination, if something takes place, we really believe that it ain't meant for us to get there.
Yeah.
Who said that it wasn't meant for you to get there, son? You need to
Mm,
change your vehicle. That's
Come
it.
on.
The destination is still there. Everything that you see for your
Wow.
this mansion that you saw for yourself making it to the NFL. This mansion that had a library in it, covered in about 60, $70,000 of wood. It's
Come on,
still
light
there for you.
flex.
It's
Come on,
still there
light
for you,
flex.
son. It's still there for you,
Yeah.
son.
Come on,
this
yeah.
this
man.
this wife that you got a vision for that you don't want to work, that you want her to be able to just to be at home, it's still there for you, son.
Mm,
Everything that you see for yourself is still there. It's just that the way you thought you was going to attain it has changed, and I think that was so important. And I
Mm,
think that's so important for the listeners, man. Somebody, it did, and 99% of the times it don't come to us the way that we think it's gonna come to us.
right.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
you got to remember that just because the vehicle now has changed, the vehicle that you're so used to, and Crump, you are,
Yeah.
especially as a kid, you so used to that vehicle. How many times have you shot a free throw? How many times have you shot a jump?
Yeah.
You just thought that this was the vehicle that was going to get you there, but never would you have thought that being a motivational speaker was the
Mm,
one that God had designed for you.
come on.
And so, and then when you look back over the years, yeah, in the beginning when I was going through it, it was rough. When I was going through it, I was depressed. I was suffering from PTSD, and that's post traumatic sports disorder. You
Come
know,
on.
not post-traumatic stress. I was suffering from post-traumatic sports disorder where everybody believes that you gonna make it because you spoke it so much. You know, even my grandma used to be like, every time I saw my grandma, she, hey, how you doing, grandson? You know, how's the NFL going? It's literally everywhere you go. But I think that when my dad was able to pour into me and remind me that there's a king inside of me and remind me
Mm.
why. What's the why? And man, somebody got to hear that. Like, what's the why? It's the why of what it is that you're trying to do or want that's going to keep you going. It's the why, that no matter what vehicle you are in right now that breaks down, you're going to still make sure that you attain whatever it is that you want. But I ain't saying it's not going to be hard because it was hard. I was, like I said, I was lost. I didn't know what I was going to do. And, but once that one word, why did you want? My whole life, my dad was saying, "What do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to do?" But then when I created that vision, he ain't never asked me really that why. And now,
Yeah.
when I didn't make it, why did you want to do it? And when I said why, that it was still there. It's still for me to attain these things, and that's what I did.
Yeah, the importance of curating the right people in your space is
Come
important
on.
at an early age too. Because what I'm hearing from you, Dad was there sending the messages, the continuous, consistent messages about your vision for your life. That's important to be able to continue to spiral in your narrative at a young age. And of course, a lot of men don't have anyone in the corner that's gonna say, "Man, you could do it." Like, keep your wife focused. And Barclay, I went to a high school in Bermuda called Barclay Institute, and our motto was "Respice for them." In Latin, that means keep the end in view. And so, but if you
Mm,
don't have that consistent messaging playing in you, whether it's auditory, whether it's visual, that's where things get sidetracked. Out, and that's independent of your relationship with Christ and how if you seek Him first, all of these things will be added unto you. You know what I mean? And I think, you know, there's a lot of things that we take for granted just by virtue of the fact I grew up. My dad's a pastor, so I continuously was immersed in a spiritual space, in a space of having God at the center of my existence, similar to I guess all of us. And so that messaging helps to play the narrative in our head because, as you know, we conduct our own negative self thoughts so many times throughout the day that you have to underwrite a lot of that negativity that you experience, just whether it's just walking on the street or scrolling on your phone. But a lot of young men do not and cannot and are not exposed to that positivity, which is why I also feel that we have a responsibility, not just to our families, but to
yeah.
other young men to continue to push the boundary, to continue to be a resource. Crump and I
Mm.
talk about this all the time. When you arrive at a particular level, how do you stay humble? Because everyone, you look around you, and everybody could potentially be a yes man. Everybody is potentially, comes of a certain esteem. How do you, in particular, Jamal, stay grounded in a space to continue to push, to continue to be a resource to others, to continue to do what God asked you to do, which is help your fellow brothers who are on this similar journey. So how do you maintain that? How do you continue to push yourself in that way and what we call eat that humble pie, so to speak?
Yeah, well, first off, I know that, everything that I've gotten to this point, it come from God. So
Yeah.
how can I think that? I mean, but if you look at my life, and I think sometimes some of us we got to do checks, right? We got to do, a check and look back over your life. I'm not that smart where I can make all of these things work together for my good, right?
Mm.
I'm not that. So I understand that all things work together for the good to those that love the Lord and are called by His purpose. So
Yeah.
I understand that if I gave you a gift, if I literally gave you a gift, would you celebrate the fact that you got a gift? Like, oh man, man, my gift, man, I gave you this gift. Would you
Yeah.
celebrate that, or would you thank the person that gave you the gift?
For sure.
Mm.
For sure.
Come on.
You
You
made my
Come
know,
on.
and so you wouldn't, and so I understand. I think a lot of people do that, right? They receive a gift and they walk around and they just like, oh man, look at what I got. Look at me. And it's like, yo, you didn't even get yourself that gift. Somebody gave you that. So
Come
why
on.
are you celebrating the gift that you have when you should be celebrating the one who gave you the gift? Right?
Yeah.
And so, and that's how I live my life because I understand that this thing, man, and I'm not just talking about just my life how the way it is, but real anything that I've ever done in life, it could be taken away. It can be
Mm.
taken away, bro. Anything that's given to you can be taken away. And so I live my life in a way where, where I'm constantly showing, I'm humble, I'm constantly showing, giving thanks to God because I know for a fact all of these
Mm.
gifts, all of these blessings have come straight from God. And so yeah, so it's for me, I stay on my five pillars. That's what really you talked about being kept grounded.
Yeah.
Um, and it's so crazy that I'm in real estate. I'm a real estate developer, and I understand that the most important part of the home is the part of the house. The most important part of a structure is the part that nobody ever gets a chance to see, and that's the foundation. Nobody
Yeah.
gets the chance to see the foundation when we build in homes or when we build in property buildings, right? But that is the most important part of the structure. I don't care about light fixtures. I don't care about blinds. I don't care about paint colors, cabinets. It's the foundation of the property. And the reason why that's so important is because if your foundation is not strong, if your foundation is not settled, if your foundation is not done right, then everything else above ground that people can see will crash. And I
Yeah.
think that's the problem in a lot of people's lives. You're not grounded. Your foundation is not strong enough. And that's why those five pillars are so important in my life. That's what keeps me grounded: faith, family, finance, fitness, and freedom. My whole day, even to this point in my life, I done accomplished a lot, millions of dollars. I done did everything. And my whole day, every single day, I am working towards those five pillars. I don't get up. The first thing I did before we even jumped on this is my time, my devotional, my prayer, my meditation. That's the faith. I got my fitness. I done already got in the gym, got my workout, my first workout on. It was just a
Come on, first
cardio
workout.
workout. That's the first
Light
workout. That's
flex
cardio.
again. What he had in
Now,
pressure, Chicks. You see the pressure this boy had? This man has
bruh,
pressure.
He said first workout. That's what's up.
the first workout. I'm just saying, but that's that finance. I mean, that's that fitness pillar.
Yes.
I'm literally my son got basketball. I'm going family time, and then we got family members coming over. So I'm in my pillars every single day. That's what keeps me grounded. It ain't about me. It's not about me. Literally, God has put me in a position to bless others. To be a blessing to others. I've been blessed so that I can be a blessing to others. So I think that when you stay in your five pillars as a man, you
Come
have to
on.
be grounded. If you have one crack in a foundation, if you just think about your house and you think about if you got support beams, there's certain beams in your house, and you probably don't know this, but it's certain beams that got a certain amount of load to it, right?
Yep.
If
Mm.
Yep.
there's one crack in one beam, one crack, it compromises the integrity of the other beams.
For sure.
If one beam and you don't address that one beam, that one support beam, if you don't address that one support pillar, then it puts extra weight on
Come
the
on.
other
Come
pillars,
on.
and then now those pillars are taking on too much, and then they become compromised, and then
Yeah.
eventually if you don't address them, the whole structure will collapse. And so that's what keep me grounded, because I understand that some people might say, oh man, all I need is just faith, man, all I need is just my faith pillar. But what good is it to have faith without works? Bible teaches us that if your fitness is not
Yeah.
right, then yeah, you got all the faith in the world, but your diabetes gonna take you out. you
And, and,
know?
and King,
Yep.
before we close out, I want to ask you this one thing because I got a chance to meet you over 10 years ago. We was in Miami with our wives together. You had the whole Chicago crew on a little private cruise. We
Yep.
was at the marriage conference with E, and that was the time you was going with E on a regular to all his events. And I see the man they got now. You got the 9 to 5 millionaire. You got the five pillars, but that didn't exist 10 years ago. And I remember we was at a David Shan spot and
Yep.
you was like, you and your wife, we sat in the back row. You was like, man, I'm just
Yep.
sitting here, man. CJ making me come here. I'm just
Yep.
sitting here. So for me to see your journey over the past 10 plus years and the brand that you built and the network, talk about as a man, I was in my late 20s, you was in your mid 30s, but we were searching that mentorship. Talk
Yeah.
about how important it is as men, even though you kind of like, I'm walking in my manhood, I'm doing my thing. Leave us with the importance of why you have to invest in getting quality mentors in your life.
Yeah. So I always say your level of exposure will determine your level of success.
Mm.
Your level of exposure. As a young man or as a man, how do you know how you're going to get somewhere unless you first connected with someone who's already gotten there? I think
Mm,
all too, we always in this generation, we always trying to figure things out on our own. But
Mhm.
as mentorship, if you just think about it, mentorship gets you past all of the pitfalls. It allows you to get into the front of the line. But we
Come
was
on.
sitting there at that conference or at that training, and I've never been on the stage. Crump. You remember we were sitting in the back room, my wife was right there. We watching
Yeah.
these other speakers. I'm like, I don't even know why I'm here. You know, I don't even want to be, not knowing that out of everybody that was in there, God was gonna put me on the biggest stage. Bro, I had no clue. But
Yeah.
the exposure that I received, the exposure, the exposure I
Mhm.
received being around other men who was doing, walking in their gift, right? The E's, the Jeremy Andersons, the CJs, who would have known that 5 years later, 6 years later, I would be on the stage at InvestFest in front of speaking, doing a keynote in front of 22,000 people. For 30 minutes, I'm on the stage in front of 22,000 people. And on the flip side of that, who would have known that Eric Thomas and CJ would be owning over 100 units
Come
because
on.
they've been mentored from me. So that's
Come
what
on. Talk
mentorship
spicy.
do. ENC would have probably never. I'm the one that helped E get his house in California, in
San
San
Diego.
Diego. That house
Yeah.
right now, E didn't even want to. He was like, "Hey, Ma, I don't know, man. This is." I said, "E, get it, do it like this." I said, "E, in another 2 years, this house would be well over $1 million in equity. Do you know that E had that house now for almost 4 years, and that house has $5 million equity in it?"
Wow.
That's what
Wow.
mentorship does, though.
Yeah.
Mentorship puts you
Okay.
in the front of the line. It allows you now to take what this person, this guy, this other man, what he has experienced, the pitfalls, the success, and it allows you now to get to his where he left off at. That's where you starting at. So
Come
when you
on.
connect with the
Yeah.
right mentor, your his floor,
The
it's
learning curve is
your
not as
ceiling.
steep. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you are surpassing, bruh. You know, his ceiling is your floor. That's where you starting from. So mentorship is everything.
Mm.
Nobody has done anything on their own. Nobody does it on their own. So I need the listener to hear that. Connect with the right people, and you don't have to worry about figuring it out. All you got to do is just start where they left off from.
Yeah. Chizzy, close us out with your closing thoughts, and we're gonna close out, man. Jamal, bro, thank you
Man.
so much for your
So,
time.
so
Oh,
in the
for sure,
short
man. It's my
time that we've
pleasure.
had with you, man, I appreciate you, man. Again, just for takeaways for our listeners, mentorship, consistency, and your
Yeah.
non-negotiables. Those are the takeaways. We all have our
Yeah.
own non-negotiables. We often ask our viewers or our guests to name three. You obviously have five. Non-negotiables are important because they ground you, they start you off for the day. But consistency is key. Get the right people in the room, man. So Jamal, I want to thank you for your wisdom. I want to thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. This is the first conversation I've had. I've been blessed by the opportunity to just be in the presence to hear your story. And I'm looking forward to tapping in with you again in the future, man. So I want to thank you from the Boy Man King podcast for just blessing us with your time, bro. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
For
we got.
sure,
Hey, man,
man.
I appreciate it. We got to do this more often, man. Let's listen. I forgot
Fact.
we was even on the podcast. I thought we was on the Zoom. I just thought we was on a FaceTime call, bro.
So we just chopping up.
Yeah. But look,
Yeah,
Jamal, real
man.
quick, tell the
Yo.
people how they can tap in with you, man, how they can follow you, how they can learn more about you, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You can find me on IG or Facebook at 9 to 5 millionaire. You can go to my flow page, and man, if you want to get in real estate, you can go to makerealestaterealcourse.com, or you can go to jamalking.com. I'm all over, just man, preaching the good word of faith. That's my thing, man. Faith. And
I
and and
love it.
one thing about me is that all things, the word teaches that all things are possible. And the reason why I believe that so much, because if you look at my life, all things really are possible to the one who believes.
Come on,
Facts.
man. And that's another great episode of the Boy Man King podcast. And as we say, the journey continues. We out. Y'all be blessed.
Let's go.